and therefore, unless there's an extraordinary situation, there will not be a requirement to invoke this Essential Commodities Act. We shall bring a central law so that farmers will be able to have the choice to sell his produce at an attractive price. He has no barriers in interstate trade. So the interstate trade at the moment is restricted. It should be barrier-free. We also want to make sure there is a framework for him to have his produce e-traded. He should be able to engage in e-trading of his produce.
Pallavi Ghosh now joins us live. Pallavi, clearly a slew of measures that have been announced, and there is a timeline, there is a sense of urgency also in terms of implementation that we could gauge from what the Finance Minister said today.
Yes, and Anand, look at the sectors where the emphasis has been put on over the last 3 days, and today being day 3. The sectors are clearly on the farming sector. Agriculture, we know, is the backbone of our economy. It's also a sector where a large number of migrant workers are coming from. She may not have kind of mentioned it directly, but it's very clear that their interests are uppermost in the mind of the government. The government is understanding the kind of pressure and the criticism it has been facing over this issue. And therefore, when you start focusing on, say, the fisheries and on the farming sector, you give changes in the legal structure, the government reforms are also being announced. The government certainly wants their workers to come back to their original place of work. In fact, we had asked this question of the Finance Minister yesterday. What do you do about those workers who've gone back home? And how do you bring them to come back? How do you incentivize them? Right. I think this is a part of that solution which the government is thinking of. But apart from the migrant workers, when you start strengthening your farming sector, your infrastructural sector, as well as the fisheries, what you are also strengthening up is the backbone of your economy. What is very clear that the government wants to shift the focus on the spike in corona cases, because that's inevitable. It's also unavoidable. The focus is increasingly on the opening up of the economic activities. The deadline from and inputs from the state government on how to deal with lockdown 4.0 has ended today, Anand. So when we see those fresh guidelines coming in from the MHA before the 18th, which the Prime Minister was talking about, all these inputs, all these factors will be taken into account.
Well, thanks for that update. Thanks for that, Pallavi. And you've been tracking this continuously. Stay safe. And I hope there are all the protocols are being followed, even when you're being called for these briefings. The Minister has been very careful herself, and she's ensured that there is proper sanitation and the environment is healthy. Thank you. Thanks for that update, Pallavi. Going across to Mahesh Gupta. Mahesh Gupta is the CMD, Kent RO Systems, who's joining us this evening. Good evening, sir. Mahesh ji, first up, you're representing an industry which is valued at $1 billion. And there is a huge reliance on these MSMEs and smaller units which manufacture a lot of the components. How do you see the challenge and the road ahead? And of course, the last 2 or 3 days, the announcements that have been made. Are you encouraged?
Yes, they are encouraging. A lot of buoyancy will come in the market because liquidity is being created. A lot of money is going to the bottom of the pyramid. Maybe it's from the agriculture sector, maybe it's from the MSME sector. All this input money, liquidity, would fuel the demand. Because every industry is facing two issues at the moment. One is from the demand side. They want consumers to come in and buy stuff. And they cannot buy unless there is a money in the hand. And second issue is how to get back into the production. The lines are stagnant. People want workers to come in and they want them to produce. So these both issues are being addressed by what the government is announcing. I'm only looking forward to one more thing which could happen. Two more things. One is the service sector. The 60% of the GDP comes from the service sector. I think from the GDP angle, it has not been addressed. From the angle of the large number of population, these measures have been addressed. But if we want to boost our GDP, I think we need to boost the service sector as well. So how do we look at it? That needs to be seen. Second is the large industries which are not falling under MSMEs. They have been also hit very badly in terms of paying salaries to the staff for 2 months and not getting the demand generated and doing virtually nil things. I understand the collections on part of GST are about 20% compared to the normal. So that means people are not able to sell their stuff. And the government must be feeling a pinch of it. So how to give some type of relief to large industries
Correct.
is also we are looking forward to.
How have you met the challenge? Let me ask you, because you have a sizable workforce and also a lot of dependent ancillary units which contribute towards your core business and towards the Kentaro system. So can you explain to our viewers how you have managed and the challenges that you will face?
Yes,
Because service is a big arm or wing of your offering.
Yeah, so I'll talk about servicing. I'll talk about production. Let's get into production first. We have 2 units, one in Noida and one in Roorkee. For both them, we got the necessary approvals to start. We had an approval to do 500 workers in our Roorkee plant, although against a requirement of 1,000 workers. We could hardly garner 400 people so far. We are not able to garner even 500 minimum people required. So the laborers are scattered all around the place, 30 kilometers, 40 kilometers. Some are staying in UP, some are staying in Saharanpur, which are 25 kilometers. The borders are sealed and our workers can't come in. Some of the workers have moved out. Same is the situation in our Noida factory. So the biggest challenge for us to produce, one, is the labor force. The second challenge is the supply chain. Some of the industries have opened out because of emergency. Other industries are yet to open out. So we are struggling in terms of supply chain. So we are limping back. I would say limping. In the sense we are not zero. We have some production. Second issue is the servicing. We have a large backlog of people who have made requests over a period of time.
Yeah.
I have about 30,000 complaints pending. In a normal date, we could do 4,000 complaints a day. So it's a backlog and we are fighting how to complete this backlog. Let's say in Delhi, I have about 450 technicians who go home to home and service the people. But at the moment, in the whole NCR region, I could generate only 300 technicians to come in. Some of the technicians have gone back to farther places, their hometowns, and they are not willing to come. For some technicians, they are fearing. They are all permanent employees. Please mind it. They are not like contract workers. Some are fearing. Their parents are saying, "No, you don't go today." We keep telling them, "Look at the doctors, look at the paramedical staff, how they are fighting against people. Please come back." But that little fear in the mind of technicians is difficult to remove. So these are the challenge in front of us to come back to normalcy. And on top of it, we are facing a biggest problem of demand generations. Markets are closed. E-commerce is not being operated. But we are confident that as and when situations improve, the demand will get generated. So these are challenging times for every industry. I'll put it that way.
Well, true. Maheshji, I must let you in on a secret. I've got a Kentaro system in my house and we just had a filter change earlier in February. So thankfully, I don't have a maintenance issue right now, but this was a challenge. How are you going to meet this? And even as norms get relaxed, you're saying you need 1,000 people, but you're working with 500, you're not even able to get 400. How are you now going to kickstart? What does the industry need to do and what does the government need to do? Are the announcements that the government is making, is it going to help you? Are you also now going to recalibrate your strategy in terms of how your operations will work, where you will get your labor from, skilling your labor, and also perhaps creating residences for your labor near about your factory? Because those were schemes that were announced yesterday on a PPP level. You can create smaller townships around your own factory areas where people can stay, gives them a certain level of security.
Yeah, I think some are short-term, some are long-term measures. Creating housing for our labor in our present situation is a bit difficult. We don't have a land out there. But we are planning the new factory, 1 lakh square meter. Yes, we'll certainly plan at that way because the government approval has come in. With the present laws, we were not allowed to do any residential units. It's a very welcome step that we can plan a mess type of atmosphere so that people can go back to their homes once in a week or once in a month. So it's a very welcome step, but these are long-term measures. These are not immediate measures. Immediately, we need to come out a motivational scheme for our people to come back, whatever motivation we can give them. Second thing is whatever staff we have, we are thankful that a law has come in wherein they can put in 12 hours of work. So we can incentivize our present labor to work a little more time and they also earn more and we also get the job done. So we have to have this type of a scheme together and then resolve the issue.
No, have these 40 days or 50 days also forced you to rethink your business? Are you very seriously considering recalibrating and rethinking your approach to running a business? And what is it, if you could share with us? Some of the things that you believe you want to implement going forward as a learning.
Yeah, I think I have done a lot of recalibration of our businesses. I have said to myself and to all my people, you don't have to travel now. For 6 months, I'm not going to travel. The technology has come into our life. Zoom call has come in, or video conferencing has come in. We are today talking you without sending a cameraman, and we are on air.
Or camera unit to you.
Do it?
Yeah.
Without a camera unit, we are on air today, and we are doing daily Zoom calls with our distributors. We are doing Zoom call with. I'm sorry to use Zoom call because it's a product, but I would say video conferencing. We are doing video conferencing with all my staff.
It's now become part of the lexicon. Standard way for video conferencing has become Zoom call. Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's a wrong way to use it. I must say that we must use video conference as the subject. So we are able to get in touch face to face, eye to eye. Now, why should somebody come to my office to visit me? Today, I had a call with two calls I had, one in Korea, one in China, on a Zoom call. We could explain everything what we want and what they wanted from us. And the job was done. So I think technology is going to play a big role in our lives. And this will change this total scenario. We can do this. If my salesman had to go to 5 dealers in a day, I think he can now spend 20 dealers in a day by a Zoom call. So we are going to this. We have a lesser requirement of people. Our traveling expense will go down, and we'll get a better productivity from the people. So I think this technology is one thing which we are calibrating in our operations. That how to make it more effective and more productive. Obviously, we are now thinking in terms of our plan of expansion. Luckily, we are into an area which is a health area and a purity area.
Right.
We are recalibrating into more products which could be introduced in this space to take care of the comfort of my consumers. And that is also being recalibrated at our end. So a lot of work is going on.
No, let me ask you in terms of, are you also now thinking about reducing your imports, your reliance on international supplies, and trying to get it, procure it locally, source it locally? Are you encouraged to do that?
No, absolutely. And I must first confess.
My final question to you, sir.
Yeah, I must first confess to you, we are the most back-end integrated company. I think the import bill is hardly 10%. 90% of things are indigenously made by us, whether it's a membrane, whether it's a pump, whether it's other components. So we rely very, very less on the imports. But nevertheless, I must answer your question that even for 10%, we will look for doing it within the country if possible, doing it ourselves if possible, because I feel unless I have a control on my raw material supply and unless I have control on the component supply, we can't be cost effective and we can't be self-reliant. And I welcome the step of the government to be self-reliant and the Swadeshi products. It's a very welcome step.
Well, thank you, Maheshji. Wonderful talking to you. And I think if these are the learnings which are across industry and across entrepreneurs, I think we have a very, very positive outlook, and everybody will have to recalibrate the way we think and the way we operate. Wonderful speaking to you. Thank you so much for taking the time out and joining us here on the Newscast. On that note, we're going to wind up this edition of the 5 p.m. Stay with us.
Brought to you by Amul, the taste of India, and Fortune Rice Bran Health, healthy se bhi zyada healthy oil.